So I've received over $100,000 plus in value from credit card points, but not just redeeming them for airlines, hotels, or pure cold hard cash. I was able to make one of my first businesses profitable by using them, and without credit card points, this business would have probably never existed. And to be very clear, this video isn't about how to use credit card/debt to start your business and then make it a success, but rather a take on a different way of using your credit card points and miles. The context of the business is that it's centered around the skill of beatboxing, which is making music with your mouth. The business definitely originated from just pure passion. As I learned more about the skill and the community and everything about the future potential, it was an opportunity for me to combine my love for beatboxing as well as my love for business all into one. I started beatboxing around 12 years old, and it's been 15 plus years since then, which is crazy to say out loud. And just learning it over time from videos right here on YouTube where you have tutorials for how to do a certain sound or a certain beat, and then fast forwarding, kind of understanding like, wait, there are these events that are called beatbox battles, which is basically where all these beatboxers come together, similar to maybe rap battles, and they kind of see, hey, who is the best out of all of us? This is important because for me, I was learning as quote unquote a competitor, and then fast forward, it was basically competing in different championships and tournaments per se around the world. And then fast forward, after having all of these different experiences, I really wanted to pay back to the community of, I'm so glad that there are these live events that are actually happening, because I used to watch them when I was a kid on YouTube, and then I got to go actually see them live. And I was like, let me actually figure out how to like throw one, basically, how to make it. The headline is that this event became America's largest international beatbox event, which is insane. Without credit card points, this would have never happened, because there's two parts of this. The first is where I was learning about the business. In other words, going to these other events, networking, talking, learning, understanding how is it done, what are the inputs, what are the outputs, what's there to look out for, etc. The way I did this was leveraging credit card points and miles for myself to travel across the world and not just compete, but also learn from these bigger and established beatbox events. This wasn't limited to North America. We're talking about Europe, Asia, like literally worldwide. Taking the learnings and then bringing it back to actually do the thing was part one. That was me just learning and using credit card points to my advantage. On the flip side, it really comes down to the monetization avenues of live events. If you think about it in your own situation, if you've ever been to a concert or a show, it's pretty much very similar. You're basically paying for your ticket, maybe a little more expensive concessions, you know what I'm saying? And also just maybe merchandise where basically I've signed posters, maybe autographed, maybe it's, you know, with the band name or whatever on the shirt, etc. On the flip side, from a revenue perspective, you could be looking at exactly what I said, but in addition, there could be kind of affiliates or sponsors. An example of an affiliate is, let's say there's a company that sells super specific audio gear just for beatboxing. So in this case, they would be encouraged to come to us because it's a hyper-targeted market segment from their perspective, but then our value is also we actually get that equipment or gear or easier access and maybe special deals with them. So really it's like a MBS, like a mutually beneficial situation. This video is sponsored by, I'm joking, but sponsors may pay a fixed rate of a lump sum of, hey, we're gonna pay X amount and you're gonna put our name, example, this event sponsored by X, right? And then the flip side, you could also have, right here on YouTube, for example, maybe there's a fixed rate and then, hey, check out the link in the description below. And in a sponsorship agreement, it could be, okay, we'll give you that flat rate, but also X commission if folks use your certain link in terms of tracking that, hey, it was you who drove that sale, you were the lead, etc. Each live event is different, yet at a high level, it's very similar to the expenses you would face as an individual, where basically for your shelter and your transportation, similarly, you have the venue cost, as well as maybe flying out certain talent if you need or want them at your event. When it comes to beatboxing, the origination is understood as to be from the 5 boroughs of New York, like Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, etc. Yet today, fast forward, you have people just like the Olympics, the best beatboxers are from France, South Korea, so many other places, and it keeps rotating because people just keep leveling up. It's crazy. When it comes to these beatbox battle events, it's basically all these competitors, but these judges who are highly renowned, and they may not be local talent, so this is the biggest expense for beatbox events, and at the same time, credit card points and miles really solves a big problem and challenge of actually making a beatbox event not just happen, but then become successful. It's like advertising. It basically attracts folks to come because they want to see their favorite or their beatbox idol equivalent and otherwise. Specifically speaking, when it comes to credit cards, there are different types of benefits and number of benefits that you can take advantage of, not just for yourself, but others that are maybe traveling with you. For example, when I was chaperoning equivalent as the event organizer, but also taking care and managing the talent, we would go, let's say, on the same reservation on the same plane. And a good example is as follows. Since they were coming in internationally, they would have more baggage. So having a certain credit card where maybe you and up to 8 other folks on the same reservation can get their free first check bag, that is insanely valuable. Yes, you can write off business expenses against your income and save on taxes, but why even spend $1 in the first place when you don't have to? Over the years, credit card benefits have been changing, yet at the time, and it's still available today if you look for it, there's basically a certain credit card where you get lounge access, but not just for you. You can bring unlimited guests. So basically, if you go to lounge, you can bring 6, 7 people. What's wrong with that? It allowed the event to have a level of professionalism and that feeling of, hey, we're well taken care of as the guests versus maybe waiting in the terminal and otherwise. And overall, it was just a better vibe and just a good taste from our perspective of taking care of our guests, but from a business perspective, also just having a better overall feeling versus maybe going on the cheapest flight with the 3-stop layover and waiting in all these terminals overnight in airports with no facility access. And that's an extreme example, but I think you know what I'm trying to say about this juxtaposition. That's just a couple points of being at the airport or taking flights. On the hotel side, there's certain cards where you get free night rewards each and every year. Yes, they have an annual fee, but let's say if the annual fee is $99, but you're getting a room that's $200 to $300, then that's a pretty good trade-off in my opinion. Like this, if you have these free nights / just points in general to do hotel redemptions, then even the places that talent gets to stay at isn't somewhere that you have to compromise. You can actually give that extra level of professionalism again because it's quote unquote free with credit card points and miles. What this also meant is that even if you're getting a mid-range, let's say a Marriott hotel, for example, they may have a conference room or otherwise that you don't really need to pay depending on the location you're at. So you could have workshops, like coffee, meet and greet, these type of events for quote unquote free in a secluded / more private area than just necessarily at the music venue. From an expense management perspective, one of the coolest things that I consider is really cool is that the Amex Platinum back in the day, you could have 99 authorized users for free. And what that meant is that even though they don't get the same benefits that come with that card, which is a lot of travel and higher tier benefits, you basically just have a card that says their name and it's an Amex Gold card. As an authorized user, it comes in gold even if you have the Platinum. And then they just feel, dang, it's an American Express, it's a name. It's all Amex's marketing that helps. Again, that level of professionalism, it's one more thing that just increases the brand value or that feeling, that good vibe. But most importantly, from a business expense management perspective, I was able to see like, hey, okay, this card, this person, they spent X. And, just kind of tracking it this way to understand the overall picture. This way, we were able to manage per diems, kind of allowances for food and otherwise. And at the same time, there are certain issuers, for example, Chase, and I'm not going to go too deep in this, but authorized users there, they do not have a different card number. So you can't really know, okay, who's spending exactly what. All of this sounds great, yet definitely I learned some lessons about how to redeem credit card points and miles optimally over time. I've been kicking myself for years, but until you know it, you don't know it. So in the beginning, I would redeem points at what's worth 1 penny per point. So in English, if you got, let's say, 100,000 points from a bonus, I would redeem them for exactly $1,000. That sounds pretty cool. But when we're redeeming for travel and otherwise, I didn't understand that, hey, you could transfer your points to something known as travel partners, to airlines, to hotels, to get better value than just taking your points, redeeming them for cash, and then maybe spending that cash for the same type of expense, or just using those points on a portal, let's say, that gives you 1 penny a point, or maybe a little more, right? But it's not giving you, let's say, where 10,000 points is worth $100 in cash, could actually get you a $200, $300 type of outcome. The way I did this was I got my first credit card at the age of 18 on the first day. I was like, yeah, let's go, let's get it. And it wasn't debt induced or spending kind of related. It was just like, oh, hey, I am this old and I should have a credit card because that's the thing to do. I really didn't know anything about credit cards, points, and miles. So when I got it, I was just kind of sitting on it. I was spending a little, just paid off in full on time, nothing crazy. And I was just, going along day to day, just knowing I have a credit card and I was happy. Fast forward, my credit score is pretty good and I'm slowly learning. not really how to redeem, but at least how to maybe save money while you're spending. In other words, using credit card as a way to get cash back and otherwise. Past that, as I understood more, I definitely went on a rampage of just applying for a lot of cards, which is where I got a lot of these acquisition bonuses, but then I used them and I would plan in terms of using them specifically for these type of event purchases that are related to the business. It was definitely exciting, and also the expenses for the business, you could also hit bonuses a lot easier because you're just funneling spend through it for the same outcome. Credit card points are crazy, guys. And because of them, I'm able to make even these videos today because of how my life setup is at this point. So with that, I want to thank you for coming this far. And I love making this type of content to share my experience, but also kind of share the knowledge because I learned right here on the platform. So with that, I have a couple more videos from the channel here. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.